As you learn about the narcissistic pattern, it's also wise to reflect on the much healthier alternatives. Now, below you're going to find a link to my new extensive course called Ready, Set, Connect. It addresses both the mindset and the skills involved in gratifying relationships, and I hope you'll find it to be quite therapeutic. Throughout my 40 plus years as a therapist in the counseling office with many different type of individuals, I would explain how it's very possible to manage your anger correctly. When you have conflict and strain and tension with someone else, you can have a well-conceived goal about what you're trying to accomplish. You can understand what's driving the anger, and you can communicate it in a way that allows dignity or decency to still remain intact. You can have proper timing and wording, tone of voice, etc. It is possible to have clean anger management. Now, I want you to ask yourself, how many people that have a really strong narcissistic bent would you say manage their anger really cleanly? And of course, the answer is, well, the very nature of narcissism virtually guarantees that anger and conflict is going to be managed very poorly. They come into the relationship with you with an idea that they're entitled, they have raw selfishness, they are vindictive by nature as a general rule, they have a competitive mindset. In other words, they have to be one up, they're profoundly insecure and defensive. And so you can see with those kind of characteristics already intact, whenever anger and strain and tension comes along, they're going to come with a lot of dysfunction. They can be openly aggressive. Sometimes they'll be passively aggressive. They can hold on to contempt and grudges. They can rage. I mean, they can make it really ugly. There's a phrase that I like to use. Many narcissists will give you $20 worth of anger for a 5-cent frustration. That's how they operate. They can greatly over-exaggerate what's going on inside. Now, when this happens, almost inevitably, a guy like myself would think, okay, we're dealing with much more than just the mood of the moment. We're dealing with much more than just the situation that might have prompted this rage or this inappropriate anger when narcissists go into that space. Basically, what we'll see is that narcissists have so much unfinished business on the inside that it doesn't take much from you to prompt them to go back and dredge up some of that unfinished business and then appropriate it toward you. We call that displacement. Basically, when narcissists are displacing their anger, they're taking issues that don't really belong to the current circumstance, and they're applying it to the person in front of them. In other words, that person in front of them is paying for somebody else's sins, so to speak. And I want to see if I can help you understand what's really going on inside of a narcissist on a conscious or on an unconscious or a subconscious level that prompts them to have such unruly anger. Now, one of the first things that we'll say is that narcissists bring with them a very bruised or damaged ego. In their anger, when something frustrates them, when something agitates them, they already have this notion that says, you're hurting me right now, aren't you? And I hate it when I am being rejected. I don't want to be anybody's nobody. Or do you have that low of a regard for me? And as a result, what they are doing is they're illustrating that they have a very weak interior. They've already felt hurt and rejected and disregarded by other individuals. And now you're coming along saying, hey, I disagree, or there's something here that I'm not doing the same as you. And they're dredging up all of that history and they're unloading it onto you in that moment. They have such a deeply bruised ego that they carry. Another thing that prompts them to displace is that they have a deep history of feeling misunderstood. So much of a narcissist's anger is driven by a craving to be heard. Well, why can't you appreciate what I'm saying to you? Or are you that dense? In other words, can't you understand what I'm trying to say? Or I have to know that you're taking me seriously right now. And ultimately, it illustrates that deep in their history, they felt disconnected on that emotional level, especially when it becomes rather tense, or if there's a confusion that goes on there. There's a loneliness, there's a lack of feeling in that heart-to-heart connection with other individuals. And so in their anger, they're protesting that. Of course, they're not doing a very good job, and they're certainly doing almost nothing to engender that to happen in a healthy kind of way. But their lack of understanding from historical circumstances is playing out, and they're displacing that onto you. Or another issue that prompts their displacement is their deep history of inadequacy and ineptitude. Basically, narcissists don't really have good conflict resolution skills because it was never trained into them. And when they go into their high anger mode and they're trying to make you responsible for whatever is bothering them in the moment, what they're really saying is, I don't know how to respond when differentness shows up. I need you to solve my problem for me. What are you going to do to make me feel better? And are you going to be the next person in my life who's going to reject me? And so they have this profound insecurity that was already instilled in them for one reason or another. And as a result, it comes out toward you. That's the displacement. Or another issue that's part of their proclivity toward displacement is the profoundness of their defensiveness. To the point where sometimes there's a paranoia. You may say or do something and it seemed rather innocuous to you, and you realize they're taking great offense, and it's like, you're out to get me right now, aren't you? And I'm not about to tell you what's going inside of me, and they justify who they are, and they do the blame shifting, a lot of what I refer to as boomerang communication. They take whatever it is you say and they throw it right back at you as if there's something really defective about you. And this illustrates that they have not come to terms with a deep history of having felt judged or being inadequate and having a sense of shame upon themselves. That's something they haven't come to terms with. Therefore, they assume that that's where you are. That's the displacement, and they unload on you when in fact it's a lot of that historical stuff that they haven't come to terms with. And then another issue that goes along with narcissists and their anger is just plain old raw egotism. You know, little children, you've been around them. They can sometimes be a little bit too self-centered, and you have to train them. Hey, it's not all about you. Narcissists didn't get that memo. Or if somebody tried to explain that to them, it just didn't soak in at all. And in their anger, narcissists are basically wondering, hey, do you know who I am? I am a force to be reckoned with. Nobody gets to disagree with me. And it illustrates that they have turned life into one big, huge compensation. They're very competitive. They have to fend off being a loser, and they have to be the winner. And of course, that means that you're going to be in the loser position. And so they have all of these issues that they have not come to terms with. And then you can have a moment of disagreement or differentness, or you just say, here's something I've decided to do, and they just blow, or they hold a grudge, or they make it known with no questions at all. You are on my bad list right now, and it's going to take some time to get off of that. And so I'm hoping that when narcissists do come toward you with their dysregulated anger, you can realize there's a high propensity in them to displace a lot of their own unfinished business. Narcissists are well known to live with a lot of denial. They are well known to live with projection. In other words, they see in you the issues that they can't resolve on the inside of themselves. It's well known that they have what I refer to as psychological incompetence. It's well known that they have low introspection skills. It's well known that they need to cover up their real self because they're afraid of what might happen if people discover who they really are on the inside. It's well known that they operate with what we refer to as narcissistic injury. These are damaged individuals, but they're bringing their damage out on others, and they're making you responsible. So somehow, whenever the anger is there between you and the narcissist, it's going to be your fault according to them. So your challenge is to make sure that you don't let them so set the pace in your relationship that you respond in kind. You want to keep a healthy focus on what you know clean anger to be. We refer to it as assertiveness, and also I refer to you holding on to your higher priorities. I want to be a person that has, logic or reason or respect or listening and all, and you want to hold on to that, knowing very well that the narcissist is not going to be able to do it. And you do want to be aware that it's very easy for them to set the pace because they can be so overwhelming, so controlling, and so absurd in some of the things they say to you. You want to defend yourself, but at some point it's like, I'm not wasting my time dealing with somebody who's actually trying to make me responsible for all of these issues that are going on inside of themselves that really don't have a whole lot to do with me. As a result, you want to keep your responses minimal. You do want to let your behavior be the primary part of your assertiveness. If, for example, if the narcissist says, I don't like the way you handled this, or you're an idiot for thinking this way, go ahead and handle things in the way that you believe is wisest and best, or hold on to your opinions as you deem to be appropriate. And when they stay angry, it's like, well, I'm going to continue being me, and that's on them if that's just not good enough. That's not my problem to solve. You want to make sure that your healthiness is revealed even as their lack of healthiness is on full display. That's a challenge. It's hard, but it's certainly possible. Let's make sure that you have your own sense of valid anger reactions, and then once you understand that the narcissist is unloading a bucket load of unfinished business onto you, displacing, I'm hoping you can recognize that's not my problem to solve, nor is it my burden to carry. Now, I hope this gives you some good awareness of what you might be dealing with. It's so hard sometimes in the mood of the moment to remember this, but I'm hoping you can think it through well in advance so that this is something that you can apply when the time does arrive. I'm hoping that you'll hit that subscribe button, and we'll keep more videos coming at you as you view these videos on a cumulative basis. I'm hoping it strengthens you from the inside out. That's the goal that I have here on Team Healthy with you. Likewise, if you have a need for therapy, I strongly encourage you to seek that out. You know that I've been sponsored for many years now by the people at BetterHelp.com. There's a link below that will take you to their team of licensed professional therapists, a couple of forms you have to fill out. And then I'm hoping that you'll find that online therapy can be very affordable, accessible, and very successful. I've had good results from people that have reported back to me on this. Please seek the help that you deserve. The link below will take you to their website. Likewise, I have my therapeutic classes. These are like signing up for an online course, and they're very extensive. Each class has multiple videos and guided written documents, guided questions. We have Ready, Set, Connect about having good connection skills. This is me about establishing those boundaries. Free to Be about finding yourself despite those controllers. I've produced webinars, and they're still available there on our website. You can purchase those along with my podcast, which is out there in podcast world. We also have my website with plenty of articles, my books, lots of resources. Now, narcissists are a walking bundle of unresolved emotional and relational hurt and pain. But instead of saying, I need to take a look at that, what they do is they just unload it onto you. That's the displacement. Sometimes they can say, I probably shouldn't do that, but more often than not, they're going to do it anyway. It's up to you to be aware of who they are and what they have going on, so you can see yourself as being distinct from whatever initiatives they're trying to pull you into. That being the case, it positions you to be a person of steadiness and decency, and I'm hoping it allows you to go into your space of peace.